Welcome to Casa DeConfidence, a podcast for you. You'll hear some incredible women
and some awesome, cool dudes
going confidently in the direction of their dreams and living in the purpose of their heart.
You're our host,
Julie DeLuca Collins, and you are our sidekick. # handsome hot husband.
That again.
And the producer of the show.
That I am.
I am an author, speaker, coach, dreamer, and most of all,
we help people go in the direction of their dreams
and support them on their purpose. So pull up a chair,
grab a drink,
and make yourself at home because our casa
is your casa. Welcome back to Casa DeConfidence. This is Dan.
And this is Julie.
And we have some great guests this week.
Hey, Daniel, this is the first time we have actual guests.
In our house.
In the studio. In our house.
Oh my gosh.
This is a special occasion. Welcome, ladies.
Hey, welcome here. Sorry, Dan, we're already talking over you. Look
it's
out.
Okay.
That's the kind of hour it's going to be.
It's going to be that kind of hour.
Thank you for having me. Welcome. Cheers to our friend Annmarie, who it's her first time
Cheers.
being on a podcast.
Yes. Well, we are popping her cherry. Like
Cheers. Popping, clank, clank.
No.
And our other friend introducing Annmarie is Pearl Chiarenza.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here.
So this is a very special occasion. Pearl Chiarenza, as most of you know, is the host of Conversations with Pearl. She is also my friend, my dear friend and guest. And today our Shiro, our joined Shiro member, Annmarie Eatner, who I have known for some time from the No BS group. She has joined us and we had a wonderful girls' weekend.
We have.
With Dan hanging out in the periphery. So we decided today to, in addition to just enjoying each other's company and really having a good time together, Dan and I were talking about what a wonderful experience it would be to actually also include them.
Whoa.
What?
This was all my idea. I said, why? Hey, Pearl and Annmarie are going to be here. Why don't we just do a podcast for us? We'll do one episode.
Okay. So Dan had this wonderful idea.
Thank you.
That we should. And listen, Annmarie and Pearl are both coaches, but now we are just having a conversation among coaches, among friends, and among the producer of the Casa DeConfidence and Conversations with Pearl podcast.
Mm-hmm. Cheers to the producer.
Yes.
Cheers
to the producer.
See, I'm not used to being on camera.
You're not.
I know this is audio, but I'm actually on camera this week for the first time.
That's right.
For our show.
No, I've seen bloopers. You've been on the bloopers.
We do have bloopers.
We do have bloopers.
We do have bloopers. Yep. Hey, by the way, ladies, what are you drinking?
Well, Annmarie brought this huge bottle of Prosecco, and it's really, really good. I have to say, cheers to you, Annmarie.
Cheers to you, Annmarie.
You cannot find 2 small bottles. You bring the big one.
Cheers.
And Julie put in, what'd you put in, Julie?
I put Saint Germain, but it's not the name brand Saint Germain. It is the fake Saint Germain, so I call it fake Germain.
Well, it's just another brand.
Yeah, but it's not fake. Saint Germain is the real
elderberry
elderflower, not elderberry.
It was very good.
Elderberry is for cough medicine. Elderflower is for
well, this could be cough medicine.
Yeah, just saying. It's a good cough medicine.
It's
right?
delicious. Cheers to that. So you would think that we've been drinking all day, and we really haven't. Well, one of us had a Bloody Mary for breakfast.
Well,
yes, she did. And let me just tell you, it was spilling over. We went to this really amazing place today, and I can't remember the name of it. It's called the Place to Be.
West Hartford, Connecticut. Not an ad, but it should be if they want to sponsor the podcast.
Absolutely. And it was so amazing, you guys. Like, literally, there was a never-ending mimosa. We didn't get it because we knew we had a lot to do today.
I had to drive.
But she drove. Annmarie drove. But it was so tall. We were all 5 of us sitting at the table going, how are they going to drink out of that? Mm-hmm. And then we realized it has a ladle, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. It has a ladle that you take and ladle into your own cup. So it was an amazing place. Go hungry, because they serve big
Portions.
Big portions.
Yeah, big
Did you-
portions.
Did you see anybody eating out of the tub?
Yes,
Yes.
we saw a couple people eating
I
out of
did
the
not
tub.
see that.
That was at the table next to us.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't watch. My back was towards it, and I was
Yeah.
kind of watching Julie's.
Overflowing
Bloody Mary.
Going here. Here's another napkin.
Here's another napkin. We need more napkins. We also met some of our other friends, our other good friends, Jean Banning, who has been on the show, by the way, in one of the holiday shows, and Michelle Bellinger, Dr. Michelle Bellinger, who Annmarie and I met through the No BS group. And I am really excited that you both are here today, because one of the things that I've been talking about in the podcast is New Year. I've shared with my word of the year. I've shared a little bit about what a big difference it makes to be able to create intentionality for the year. So as you join us, of course, number one, I would love to know specifically for each of you, because you're life coaches, but you also are women with a lot of different responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many different balls in the air that you're juggling.
I have the same
And-
problem.
And I'd love for you to each share. Pearl, if I could start with you, tell us a little bit about who you are, because even though I talk about you, I share who you are before. I'd love for you to share, your story. You've had a very compelling story before this year, but in the last 6 months, life changed for you tremendously.
Absolutely.
And I'd love for you to share, what is it that you do as a coach? How did your life sort of took a shift? And what is your mission that you're in right now? So it's a multiple part question, and I can repeat it as you go.
I'll try to make sure I remember all those questions, but I think I have it. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so excited Annmarie is here, and we've talked so much, and it's nice to meet her in person.
Absolutely, me too.
And to have Dan kind of navigate us through the weekend. It's been a lot of fun. So yes, my name is Pearl Chiarenza, and I am the owner of Women's Successful Living. And Women's Successful Living came up because my story, if you follow me, and Julie talks about me a lot, is that for the longest time, I lived behind my children and what they were doing. And I lost sight of who I was. So I finally, in 2015, went on this journey to figure out who Pearl was, to really try to find my inner Pearl. And I share that all the time because I believe all of us have that inner Pearl, inner Julie, inner Annmarie. So I went on the journey, and I realized I was putting everybody before me. And so because of that, I was losing sight of what my goals were. I was losing sight of what I wanted to accomplish and what I had accomplished. That was great things, such as becoming an author, becoming a speaker. So I decided to do a pivot. I was just a health and wellness coach, and I decided to become a life coach. And over the past few years, I've become a mental fitness naturopathic coach. And what does that mean? It means we talk about the things that sabotage us, like our judgment, how they show up in our lives. And that's something that Julie talks about as well. And my saboteur, her name is Betsy. So when Betsy shows up and shows whoever it is for you and my clients, I talk about how to flip the switch and let Betsy know that she's not allowed to come in right now. And so I've been doing that for the past 8 years. And last year, a lot of that was also because, I had an older son named Matthew, and I have a younger son named Nate, 25 forever and 23. And so I had to stop and let them know that I need to let them fly, and I need to start flying for myself. So I started on that journey. And as Julie said, last July, my life got turned upside down. We lost our son, Matthew, in a tragic car accident, single car accident. And it really was the world of flip switch turned upside down. And so I, over the last 6 months, was really struggling with that. Did not realize till I met somebody who's been on Julie's show as well, Seth, and his book called Smile Method. And once I started really to read that book and understand that there's different parts of grief, and understand that really for probably the last 3 months, I was going through a grief fog. And you've talked about some of the fog today we talked about.
Yeah.
And so I decided it was time when the first of the year, December 15, actually, I decided to take control of my health. I reached out to Julie and I said, I need to get away again because bless Julie, she's my coach, she's my friend. But in August of last year, I called her too and said, I got to get out of the house. It's too overwhelming, the grief. And so here I am this weekend. I'm working on getting my business established for this year. And what I do is I love to help women find out who they truly are inside and help them start realizing their goals, help them find joy, help them to create that not to-do list that's keeping them from their joy in their life. and really truly help them become that shiro, that lady who puts their cape on first. Some of you call it filling your cup. I call it put your cape on first, because when you can take care of yourself first, then you can take care of all that's upcoming and you're responsible for, job, family, whatever that is for you. And so that's who I am. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to meet Annmarie because she is a sweetheart. I'm learning from her because, yes, my life pivoted because of loss of my son. And my life's about to pivot again with some concerns with my mom. And I know Annmarie is walking through that now.
Yeah.
And Annmarie, and Pearl, thank you, number one, for sharing. And we are actually live on Instagram. So
hi, everybody on Instagram.
We are on Instagram Live.
Oh, excellent.
And,
I love it.
And one of the things that you talked about is how you were learning to put yourself first. You were learning to really be able to be the person who showed up and didn't feel guilty for the self-care, didn't feel guilty for putting yourself in front of other people, because most moms that I know and women, we as women tend to want to do it all, tend to not want to say no to others, but ultimately we suffer and we really deplete ourselves. And what you found is that you needed to kind of shift from that pattern of behavior.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, as you were teaching other women to do that, to shift from that pattern of behavior, you had the unthinkable. You had Matthew lose his life.
Yes.
And you showing us by example that even when tragedy and the unexpected happen, you can grieve, you can feel the sadness, but you also allow yourself to feel the sadness and the joy that life brings at the same time. Because there's a lot of times that joy and sadness can be present at the same time.
Absolutely.
Can you walk us a little bit through that journey, what that has been like?
That's a great question. And, and there's so many, if you're following me on TikTok, I talk about a lot about this.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of in that same area.
Right.
With just life in general with my mom that I'm living with. I know what the end game is.
Right. Yeah.
I know what her end game is, but I am living in the present and loving her as much as I can.
Yeah. And that's a great point you bring up too, is like when Matthew was here, he used to say to me all the time, like, Mom, I don't understand how life throws so many challenges at you. I had to, through putting yourself first, some things are going to happen. You're going to release people in your life that don't serve you anymore, that they're not within what you want to accomplish. And so I had a long-term friend over 3 years that if you followed me, we were everywhere together, that I had to release her. And he's like, I don't understand how you do, like, how do you look at everything still positively? And so for me, I had to continue to do that. I felt like even though Matt passed, how would I be honoring him if I didn't continue to live how he saw me? But it wasn't easy. I mean, if you've lost somebody and, you understand, especially if it's a child, that it's like, it's not an easy thing to do. And so I just made the commitment to myself that to thank God, first of all, that I was opening my eyes, put my feet on the floor and allow myself. And Julie's been awesome. We've had many appointments. I'll call her and go, you know what? Today's a big wave. I can't hop on today. And to have that support of friends and family and to let them pour into you, even though you may want to shelter and not have them around you, it's really, really important. So my commitment is, and to get through this is really, my husband, my son, Nate, and I all made an agreement that even if a wave came, if we wanted to cry, not to hold back. I was at a grocery store shopping and I was crying, and the poor guy behind the deli is like, are you okay? Did I do something wrong? I'm like, no, I'm fine. It was just another wave. So I've allowed myself that space that no matter where I am, and even if I was on here with you, to cry if I need to cry. And then the next thing I do is know that no matter what the day has for me, it's still a lesson to learn. And it's okay to not have a great day and to grieve. And, because there's that life before, then there's a life after. But then I feel also there's a life now. And my life now is to honor his memory by being who I am and who I found I was, even through that loss and also before we had lost Matthew. So that's what I've been doing, Julie.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think that that's going to really be able to resonate with so many different people, a little bit of what your journey has been like. And you alluded a little bit to what Annmarie has been going through and a little bit of the example that she is showing you through her own personal journey. Annmarie, I met you through the No BS group. You're an incredible, dynamic, fun, loving individual. You have such, like Pearl, very generous in spirit with a twinkle of fun and mischievousness, which I enjoy.
I'm very mischievous.
In the last few years, as many of us, obviously going through the pandemic, you also experienced a loss.
Yes.
The loss of your dad. And that was a journey. And after that journey, you went into a different road, which was now caretaker as well. Walk us through that, what that has been like for you.
So my life totally shifted. I had started life coach school and my dad got sick and I had to put that like on the side because that became more important. And my mom, she's great. She kept him alive and I'm very grateful for that. But I have this side of, I'm a giver. I can take care of, and I can separate that with family. Anybody else I can't. But the best gift was I used to spend nights with my dad and he would talk to me. And I'm a crier.
You can cry.
I'm a crier.
You're in a safe space for crying.
And I'm a crier. But the thing is, I've never known that much love for my dad. That was gift number one.
Beautiful.
Gift number two was I was estranged from my daughter. I got her back in my life. I got my grandchildren in my life. I got my son-in-law in my life. Such gifts, like I can't even express still because it's so still internal and loving that I am capable of feeling that and leaning into the new lifestyle I have, the grandma role, the mom role, the caretaker role for my mom. I mean, she's sick. She's got COPD and she's stage 4. And if anybody knows what that is, it's never getting better. The end stage, I know what the end stage is. I have a husband who is a respiratory therapist. I know it all. I pretend that I don't know it all because no one really wants to know. So I know, and I know what to expect. And each day is a different day. I love my life today, even with the sadness.
Right.
I've learned to lean in, which I never really understood until you're given this platform in your life or this journey. Because I really believe God put this here for me. The leaning in part is what I've been trying to teach people. You get to lean into it.
Yeah.
You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it, but you allow it to exist with you. Because it's not going away. You can't lift up the carpet. You can't swipe it under. And if you allow yourself to either go through it or hold it, you still grow. You nurture it. And then at some point you learn, I don't have to nurture this anymore. Yeah. It's become part of me. And that's where I'm at. Like this was huge for me to take on my mom, not take her on, I shouldn't even use that word, that I get to be that caretaker. Yeah. But no one talks about the other side about being a caretaker. Right. I call it caretaker fog.
Rightly so.
I call it we planning to come here and I'm like, what day are we doing it? Am I messed up? Like, am I confused? And it's nice that you have people in your life that are like, no, you're not confused, and I acknowledge I have fog now. I mean, I also have RA and this was all part of like in the beginning of all this, I became kind of had RA. I have severe RA. And I'm leaning into that. But I know today, my mother having her in my house is the best gift that I have. My sister does not get that. My brother does not get that. I get to share it with my grandchildren and my daughter comes and I feel like I'm this, I don't know if vessel is the right word. I feel that I get to do what I do best. I get to care for everybody. And in that process, I'm learning how to care for myself.
Good.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know what my pom-poms are, but I would be shaking them right now.
I knew back in May, I spoke with Pearl. Julie had connected us, and I knew I was in a new level of my life that I needed to put me first. And that's how we connected. And I knew I wanted to do it. I had other things going on in my life. I had to figure out how I was going to stop it and take that next leap. Right. Well, I did it. And it was so quick, okay. And then I got on a call with you and I'm now in the Shira group and
She's going to the retreat.
Yeah. So what Annmarie is talking about, for those people who may not be following the train of thought. So one of the things
I'm sorry.
No, you're perfectly
You're
fine.
good.
But one of the things that for me as a friend, seeing what Annmarie was going through, not only because of her autoimmune with rheumatoid arthritis, for those people who don't know what RA is, I have an autoimmune, and I know that for the majority of my life it's dormant, but when it does flare up, it is insanely challenging. And to be in a stage like Annmarie is, I totally understand how challenging it could be every day. And now you add on going through the grief of losing a parent, and now going through the new normal of caring for a parent like her mom, being there. And again, she gets to do it. It is a privilege. I think that for me, I also refer to caring for my dad as a privilege, to be there for those moments in which you're ushering someone outside of this world. But I know that Annmarie had been doing a lot of work to reconnect to herself, to find that inner badass that's inside her. And I knew that she also needed the support system, needed the continual community that can help her focus on putting herself first when our brain says, you go last, everybody else comes first.
Right.
And that's what Pearl does. She referred to helping individuals find their inner Pearl or inner Annmarie or inner Julie of greatness. But the reality is that we are the unsung heroes of our life. And Pearl teaches women to tap into the strength, tap into the human power that we all have. Tap into the I forget what the E stands for, Pearl, but I'm talking about the acronym for the Shiro League,
Right.
which is a group of women that she leads every weekend and Sunday night and empowers. Correct. She empowers every week, right? She empowers us every week to really create the space to say, hey, husband, I need some time for myself.
Right.
Hey, kids. Hey, family. Hey, responsibilities from your house or your work, and come together and really pour into your cup. Because if your cup is empty,
Right.
then ultimately there's no one that you can help. There's no one that you can give to. And ultimately you're going to run out of steam for yourself. So the Shiro League is something that, and I know that I'm pushing this and I'm talking about it, but because I really strongly believe that it is January 21st. For many of you, your goals, your resolutions may be sort of like, oh my gosh, you're already in the beat yourself time. But I want you to know that if you create the intentionality to show up every single day of your life with the right support system, and it doesn't have to be Pearl, it doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be Annmarie, it can be whoever the community around you is. You can create the type of life in which you're not only pouring into your cup, showing up for yourself, but then actually creating a greater and better ripple effect into the lives of people that are around you. And that's something that I want people to really pay attention to as we're starting this year. Because as the CEO of your life and business, you have to make these decisions in which you put yourself first.
Yeah, and I'm going to just jump on that. So last year, as my word was harmonize, I had a lot of things that were going great last year. And I wanted them to all come together and be harmony. And I accomplished that. And when I went over my year and, you start, I did this, I did that, I found that I wasn't showing up completely authentic. And so that's how I got my word authentic for the year.
Gotcha.
And I'm very excited that I get to be really authentic with myself, with my friends, with my clients, with my mother, with everyone that's around me. And I get to be an example of what looking at yourself is and how to change that. Because that's been my journey.
Right.
A lot of change. Excuse me. A lot of changes happened in my life that things I didn't think I could ever accomplish.
Yeah.
Right.
I've done that
Incredible.
and more.
And more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, and that's just really putting faith in yourself. And like you said, your support system. I have a fantastic support system.
And
Yeah.
that's important. And Julie and I have a mutual friend. I actually introduced Julie to her. It's a good friend of mine, Lisa Pulliam. And she talks about having your balcony people. Like, who are those people that you allow on your balcony that's there to support you,
Whoop, whoop.
there to say, hey, I don't think that's the right thing for you,
Yeah.
but also there to be just like that you need somebody to talk to, cry, yell, scream with, to be like, okay, pick up the phone. And that's really important. I love you talked about the word too, because I think a lot of people kind of foo-foo the idea of having a word.
No, the word has been really, my first word that I chose, you're going to giggle. I was the defiant one growing up.
Okay.
And my first word was defiant because I was going to defy all of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's powerful.
And that was so huge. And I did so much that year because I was like, nope, I can do that.
I can do that. Yeah.
I can do that. And it wasn't like everybody looks at the word defiant as derogatory.
Right. It's not.
It's not.
Okay,
And
so I'm going to call you out a second because I'm going to give a little secret with Annmarie here. We talked about saying no. Often we say no. So we talked about a tip she's going to do. And if you want to know more about it, you can reach out through Julie to get in touch with me and I'll tell you about that tip. But we gave her a tip about doing that. So you're going to use that same kind of word when you do that thing we've talked about. But I love that you had that word because that's a powerful word to help you to say no to things that don't line up with you. And people think having a word is foo-foo. And my word this year is actually reward. Like I've worked so hard over my life of taking care of my kids, helping them grow up. And now, like you, we talked before we hopped on here that, this next journey is probably taking care of my mom, becoming that caregiver. But at the same time, I need to reward myself. It's time for me. And so this year I'm all about, if it's not going to bring me the rewards that I want in my year, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to do it. So keep that in mind if you call me. If it's not going to bring me a reward, we're not going to be in line this year to work together.
If it's not a hell yeah, it's an F no.
I love it.
And that's what you're going to teach. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah.
Like, my goal this year is to have my business up and running. And I'm learning what is my niche? Because I am a people pleaser, so I could be your coach, I could be your coach. But I really want to find out what my niche is and how I can help that person. I mean, I've had a lot of good people in my life, and a lot of good people taught me change.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where I'm going.
Right.
I'm
It's
all
an
about
amazing
the change,
discovery.
the change and the power just in that word.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's very powerful.
Yeah.
I want to flip the switch for a second. So we have Dan on here with us. And I have Julie here. And Julie's my business coach. And I just want to call her out and give her a big hell yeah for everything she's done for me to help me focus on what's the thing that I'm working on and really drill down. But also, Dan is my producer for my conversations with Pearl. And this weekend, we've been in and out with him, leaving him behind, semi-bachelor this weekend. And he's taking care of us in some other ways as well. But Dan, I want to know, do you create a word for yourself?
He does have a word. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I guess it?
Am I allowed to answer my question?
You are allowed to. Okay, so I'm going to let Dan share his word.
Okay.
Did you just hear? I'm going to allow. No, Dan is going to share.
Anne-Marie wanted to guess.
Yeah, so you can guess it, and then Dan will say what his word is. And then I already had formulated a little game that I would like to play.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my
Mm.
God.
When it comes to our
I'm gonna
words.
guess for Dan.
So I will say you haven't been listening to the podcast because we've talked about it for 2
No, I
weeks in a
have
row.
not.
And
I
it's
have not.
perfectly fine.
No, I haven't. Listen. Take care of old people. Listen, I not only do I take care of the 90-year-old, I have the 94-year-old.
That's all right. You're fine. You're
She's
fine.
allowed to have a little brain fog.
I'm going to guess.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say grow.
I don't think a 6'6" man wants to grow anymore.
I'm done.
No, I'm good. That's a good guess, though. I like it.
Yeah.
Dan,
It's either that or retire.
Does Pearl want to guess?
Pearl might know.
I don't want to say it because I think I know, and I don't want to say it.
Well, say it if you know.
My word of the year is Mopar. I'm kidding. I'm sure there's no car people out there. There might be some car people out there.
I'm like, what?
Well, there's certainly no Dodge people out there, but whatever.
No, not me for sure. We were talking about it in the car.
I know I have a GM.
Right.
Okay.
So what's your word, Dan?
So my word for the year is rejuvenate.
Ooh. I forgot that was his word. Yes.
That is
I
his
was
word
pretty
for the
close.
year.
Because I see a change from the last time I saw him.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what's rejuvenate mean to you? Like at the end of the year, 23 is over. What does that word mean for you? What have you manifested with that word?
So 2022 is a kind of a rough year for me, health-wise, physically. I've been, ever since 2021, I've just been tired and allowing myself to lean into that tiredness and taking care of myself in ways in which I would rest. But I mean, ultimately, that's not the way out of that. The way out of that is to take care of myself a little better. And it changed my mindset a little bit also when I'm not feeling well, to power through those physical feelings mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
And knowing that, all right, Dan, you're not dying here. You're not.
Or getting pregnant for that
Or
matter.
getting pregnant. And, you know, that's.
I was
Really?
something
So.
That's a shout out to Corinne Crabtree from the
Yes.
No BS group.
Yes.
Because that is her
Absolutely.
saying.
Nobody died. Nobody got pregnant. So in my life, you know, taking small steps, creating, you know, simple habits to change how I felt over the last year. And this year will be a year of rejuvenation.
That's
Awesome.
great.
I love it. I can't wait to see what the year brings.
So I have another question. So as you know, and
you better hurry up because I think Julie's going to give us a quiz.
No, you go. I like this conversation.
So as a life coach, and we all have husbands. How do you approach? Because I'm trying to think of a good word when Julie is on like, well, this is, and we're pontificating on what as a coach would be saying to her clients, and now we've stepped out of the role of wife and we become coach to you. Like I struggle with that. Like how
With your spouse, you mean?
Yes, I do struggle with it. And then he calls me on it. Calls me right on it, which I love.
My
And
husband hasn't called me on it yet.
calls me on it. And like it's like out there. But and I like it. Of course now he'll know, but I mean I haven't told him that I'm pulled back. Do you do that for Julie?
So I love the concept of radical candor. And if you can establish the fact or the process between two people or a group of people where you can say anything within reason to that person and they will not react emotionally. That doesn't always happen.
Right. No.
But you can be reminded of the fact that we have that relationship. So if she starts coaching me, I can tell her, hey, you're not my coach.
He doesn't say it in that tone. It's like, you're not my coach.
No, I say stop coaching me.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what he said.
I heard that this weekend too. Stop coaching me.
So Richard does that to me also. Like, and I'm not one of your clients. I'm not, and it's funny because when I get into that mode, and maybe Julie, maybe you see that too. It's like I almost feel like, oh crap, like I'm forgetting how to separate, and because I've been doing it all day long and it spills over, and
So maybe Julie can touch on how she came to this point.
Yeah.
And she didn't ever overcoach me. So we all as humans have fears.
Right.
And one of Julie's fears is that I'm not taking care of myself. I'm going to die and I owe her 40 years. That was our commitment when we got married because we were both, how old when we got married?
42, 41.
42, 41. And I said, I'll give you 40 good years. And so now it's 10 years later, I still owe her 40 years. So that keeps stretching out. So the thing is that's something that, and tell me if I'm oversharing, but that's something that she deals with.
Right.
But as Julie would coach me a little bit, not a lot. She's learned not to do that. And that's been something where actually last week I was coaching you. She said, stop coaching me. But I had a great point. I don't remember what it was.
One of the byproducts of being married to a coach is that, and again, as we're sitting here, we're sitting right across from each other.
Right.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
And many times he may be working and editing a podcast or working on a video for a client or setting some tech for Go Confidently services. And he can't hear the client and what they're sharing because the client is always in my ear, but he's going to hear me.
Right.
And a lot of the concepts that I talked are the same when it comes to tiny habits, when it comes to managing your brain, using cognitive behavioral techniques with my clients, or just talking strategy when it comes to business. The reality is that he hears the coach in me come out. So it's easy for him to recognize that when the coach in me, because the wife in me cannot control the husband, but the coach in me wants to coach him.
Right.
And as he alluded to, and
Right.
this actually, and you don't know this, Daniel, but
Nugget.
yesterday as we had,
Wait a minute. I'm going to circle this.
okay,
Spill the tea.
yesterday.
All right. We watch a show called The Circle. They say that a lot.
Yeah. So we're going to spill the tea. Yesterday, when we were in, we had a girls' weekend. Arlene, my good friend Arlene Rauza, who a friend of the show, who everybody hears about on Casa DeConfidence, we had a birthday celebration, and I invited several girlfriends. We went to the spa for the day, and Annmarie did not join us for spa, but Pearl did. And after that, we went to the winery, and we were having candid girlfriend. Just sit around, have a great time. Annmarie joined, my other friend
beautiful.
Erica joined. But as we were all speaking openly, vulnerably, sharing experiences as women, you know, that the conversation turned to Julie's fears, in which Julie, her greatest fear, and not because of Dan, but because of the trauma that Julie carries from having been engaged at 20 and having had that person get into a traumatic motorcycle accident that cost him almost his life, and never being the same. To Julie coming from a home where her parents left the country and left her behind with her grandparents because it was a civil war and they couldn't stay in the country.
Right.
Julie has abandonment issues. Julie has a fear of losing someone.
Right.
And this person beside me, he's not only my life partner, he's my best friend, he's my business partner. And listen, the business could go away, but my life without him would never be the same.
Right.
And the fear of losing him because of what he does or doesn't do, it's a real everyday fear. He can tell you, I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like, excuse me, are you breathing? And that's my own thing.
Right.
So when I coach because I want him to take care of himself, because I have a manual for him.
Yeah.
And yet I think that I've pulled back tremendously because of some of the coaching and the work that I have personally done. You know, we talked about Corinne again from No BS, who's been my coach. She made me write a letter to Dan for 30 days, a love letter, because she wanted to teach me to be here in the present, in the now.
Right.
Because for every day that I am worried about what the future may bring, for every day that I think about him not being a part of my life, it is a day that I lose.
Right.
It's a minute that I am not present in the enjoying the now. And we're so fortunate and blessed to have such an incredible life that you lose time. And I want to encourage individuals that stop living in the past because you can't change the past. You know, I could live in the past of I am broken because of the trauma and pain that I went through from loss before.
Right.
I'm choosing to not be there. I can also live in the future of the anxiety of what could happen if, fill in the blank.
Yeah, so that's that what if. That's my what if. So it's and I asked that question on purpose because I have a lot of that what if, those what ifs happens to my husband, which I want to fix. I want to coach him to be better. Like, you got to do this. And, you know, I've gotten better. And a lot of what you said, I haven't done the 30-day love letter. That's actually great.
I think you should. I'm going to tell you to do it.
I will. And I will. I think that was a great, and honestly, I was like, wow. I mean, I've done the letters to him, like, when I'm feeling overwhelmed with a lot of his health issues, which are nothing compared to mine, but I'm so afraid he's going to lose me.
Right.
I can't not have him, you know, because he too is my best friend.
Yeah.
Right.
And I feel very generous that God has put him in my plate.
And one of our friends yesterday, Johanna, actually turned it back on me as I started to kind of allow some of my fears to creep up and rear their head. And she said, what if you go first? How would he survive?
Right.
What would be his life like? And I'm like, well, he's going to be happy because no one will be on him.
Right.
But I'm kidding.
So I want to piggyback on what both of you are saying there. So a couple of things. First of all, we all know that fear is false emotions appearing real,
Mhm.
right? And, we have that concern with our husbands. And one of the things that I do is, I also had that fear of losing my husband. Now I tell him he has to go before me because I need to be prepared. So that's my way of flipping it around. And of that fear, I flip it around going, well, if he does go before me, he's preparing.
Mhm.
And now that my son's gone, they're both preparing for my arrival.
Right.
And then also the other thing is that, to be in the moment and to think about this. If you were to write a eulogy and your friends, all they could say at your eulogy is what they saw you do for yourself, what they saw you do for maybe your spouse or your kids, what would they say? How do you show up? Do you show up first? Like I can tell you at my eulogy, like I'm here today. I'm in Connecticut. I'm from Tampa. My family and friends will say they saw me be passionate, compassionate towards others, but they also saw me put myself first. They saw me take staycations. They saw me go do things to help me grow. They would tell you that. Now, my mother-in-law, who Seth listens to hear the show, and I've been with them, she'll tell me, and she's come through with Seth and said, you should stop putting that stuff first. Because in the old school way, we had to put our husbands before ourselves.
I discuss that a lot. So my husband, my husband was raised Jewish, but his mother was Orthodox. And in the Orthodox back then, she's from Worcester, where we were today. But, it's the husband, the house, and then the children.
Right.
And they were always last.
Right. Yeah.
And I saw my mother where it was the house, her children, and I followed in that path. And now I am me.
Yep.
And unapologetically at this point. It's just amazing that you can do that.
Yeah.
But I've also had really good role models. Julie, you're one of them. You're my new role model.
Yay.
I've had some really good role models of very strong women. I have not had strong women in my life. I've had very domineering, micromanage. Of course, I hope my daughter doesn't hear this, but that, and this is my perception. She might see something different that I did not know how to cope. And that's something that coping mechanisms, that I retreated, I would back away. I don't do that anymore.
That's funny you say that. So funny story. When I met my husband, I grew up in a household where if my parents got in an argument, they just didn't talk. It could be 2-3 weeks. And then all of a sudden, all of a sudden I come home and everything's hunky-dory. And I'm like, okay, what was that about? When I met my husband, if we would get into disagreements.
We have to talk before we go to bed.
Well, okay, we will. Well, here's the thing.
No, my husband and I have to talk before we go to bed.
No. So my husband would, if I wouldn't respond, like we had disagreement, I would just I don't want to talk. All I learned was to ignore. So what he did, he started having my end of the conversation with himself. He would talk for me. That's me. And I was like, no, I wouldn't have said that. And then finally I learned, he goes, well, you got a voice and I don't know what's bothering you if you don't tell me. Yeah. So now if he was sitting here with us today, he would say, I can't get her to shut up now. That's what we would do. And here's something that we do with us, between the two of us, and I've talked about this on my show as well, is if I have something I need to discuss with him that's on my mind, I don't know, we're not always in the same mindset. So I'll say, are you open to receiving right now? Because then it's like, if he says, no, it's not a good time, then I've given a safe space to say, you know what? I don't want to talk about what's bothering you at the moment or what's on your mind. And we'll circle back. And we always commit to circling back within one day.
So I'm on this new part with, I love my husband. I mean, he's like the best thing that ever happened to me. I swear God just dropped me on my plate. But I he'll come to me like, we need to talk. And I'm sure the tone I'm hearing in my voice, in my head, it's not the same tone he's coming with, because he's very gentle and kind. I get like that flutter of like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I have been seriously working on like, he's just asking you a damn question.
What? Looks like Dan has something to say about that.
Sounds familiar.
Well, and I think that's the baggage we carry, ladies. And I think that we have to, ladies and cool dudes, if you're listening, we carry baggage in our life, and that definitely affects. And we were actually talking in the car today. So if you're familiar with the model from the life coach school, is that you have a circumstance, and your circumstances then create the thoughts about the circumstance. then your thought create your feelings create your actions get you your results.
Right.
And for many of us, we sometimes think that, and this is part of the work that I've done. And if you've listened to the episode with Susie Castellano, who has been my coach also, because again, coaches need coaches.
Yep.
This is someone who I've done some of the work with trauma with many times. And I'm going to use an example. So for instance, Dan is eating unhealthy. So that's the circumstance. My immediate thought is he's going to die. I'm going to be alone. So then my feeling is fear. Right. And immediately my action is to lash out of fear at him. Why are you eating that? Stop eating that. And my result is that he's then going to like, screw you, Julie, and then going to feel bad. And then he's going to go and not take care of himself, not listen to me, whatever. Right. They react. And then ultimately then I'm proving my thought right to be afraid of the actions that he is taking, that is going to cause him to maybe, shorten his health, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Except what is happening is that fear I am feeling is not from that model right there, right then. What is happening is that fear goes to the abandonment issues from before, and I'm actually in another model.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
But I am in such automation mode that I keep going. I want to kind of bring the conversation, ladies, and this has been so fun, and I'm sure we can talk for a lot of time, but I want to specifically wrap it back around to our word of the year, intentionality. What does it mean to you? So we're going to play a little game.
Okay.
It's not a drinking game, although cheers, everybody has a drink.
Cheers.
Cheers to me and to Dan. Dan, cheers to you.
Cheers.
Cheers. So one of the things that I want to do right now is eat. Oh, nobody asked me what my word of the year is.
Well, we didn't get to you yet.
Did
We
you?
got so enthralled with Dan. So tell us, what is your word of the year, Julie?
Yeah, what is it?
Oh my God. Every week you're going to ask me, Dan, what my word of the year is?
Well, I forgot already.
Do you not show up every week here?
If I don't write it down, I don't remember it.
Wow.
got
You
it,
see
yeah.
how this happens, people?
Oh, you got super soda over here?
I have super soda.
Oh my gosh.
We're having a little charcuterie board.
It's my super
Can I
soda
say
now.
I like to say the word.
What?
How can I say? Can I say?
Take a guess what my word is.
She wants to say super soda.
No, I want to say what the board is called.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Char, cooter,
Re.
board.
Charcuterie board.
I like
For
that.
all the people that can't say it and now giggle.
There you go. Charcuterie board.
Cooter.
Perfect.
One of my past nicknames was Cooter.
We don't want to go.
Are
there
you
yet.
from what was it called?
Hazard County.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It happened at work.
Why are you eating on the podcast?
Oh, because I'm hungry. So, Julie, what's your word?
Well, okay, do you know what my word for the year is, ladies?
You told me and I cannot remember.
Okay,
See?
apparently it's such a memorable word for
Not
people.
just a man thing.
My word for the year is action
Yes,
adventure.
That's right.
It's 2 words.
I knew it, but you didn't ask me. You asked Annmarie. I knew it was
smart.
action adventure because I'm afraid to be around you. You make me go on an adventure with you right now.
Oh, there's
like
a
zip
lot.
lining or something.
There's a lot of adventures you're going to have with me this year, Pearl Chiarenza.
See, I love adventure. I like spontaneity
My
adventure.
But as your coach, and this is the theme too with all of my clients, that I'm going to, as I place myself in a position to take action, I am pushing you also to take action. Because action is what gets you traction.
Yep.
And that consistent action is what we're going for to create the momentum in our life for what we want.
Yep.
So the game that we're going to play is we're going to swap words.
Ooh.
We're going to swap words.
So mine
And-
is reward. Yours was
Authentic.
authentic. Okay.
And then mine is action adventure. And Dan is rejuvenate. So,
Okay.
Pearl, how do you feel that you need to rejuvenate this year? If that is
Ooh.
going to be,
Ooh.
one of the things that you're going to adopt as well for this year to create intentionality.
So I think the first thing that comes to my mind when you ask me that question is making sure I stick to my boundaries, like allowing, like you've taught me tiny habits, like what's the trigger? So my trigger in the mornings, I turn off my alarm, I get up, I walk the dogs, come in and I work on my business for about 2 hours before 9 a.m. So that's my first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing is to I guess to know that I'm worth it. Like I'm worth it personally, but know that my business and what I'm about to launch and that, you know, if you're a business owner, you're listening to this, we often say, oh, I want to give it for free. I think we're kind of talking this in the car.
Yeah, we did talk about that in the car tonight.
I want to give this for free, or I want to give that for free. And I've learned through with Julie's help, and also as I built confidence in myself, is that I'm worth what I'm charging. So if you're listening and you call me and you say, you know, well, I don't think I can afford it, then it may not be the right fit for you at the moment. And that's okay to learn that I'm not going to fit everybody. Like I remember when I was a weight loss coach, people would say, well, I don't think that would work. I'm like, that's fine. What kind of program are you looking for? And I would I would send them to my competition. I knew that offer that program. So to know that we may not be the right fit for everybody. And I think by doing that, that's going to help me rejuvenate my belief in what I'm offering. It's going to help me rejuvenate my clients. It's going to help me also rejuvenate that space of freedom. So, you know, Chuck and I, it's just us two at home now because Nate's off living with his girlfriend and they're creating that beautiful life together. So it's also going to rejuvenate our relationship because I'm going to be able to do some of the things I've been wanting to do for the family that relieves pressure off of Chuck as well. So I think for me, that's what that means to me, Julie.
Amazing. Thank you.
As you're speaking about, and I have to just share, your reward is all wrapped up in that.
Yes, it really is.
And your reward, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, very much.
Okay.
So Annmarie, for you, I want you to take the word, Pearl's word for the year. And I want you to talk about how you are going to incorporate that word in addition to your own word.
To my own word.
How are you going to reward yourself?
So I think for me, I'm taking all these new confidence levels for myself, and I am trying to build with each time I have a success to build on that success. And it's really more on a confidence level that I believe I am capable. And understanding within that word authentic that I am giving my own self. And the reward is being my own self.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I feel it. Like I'm saying it and I'm feeling myself vibrate.
So, you know, I'm taking notes up here for your coach.
I know you are. And that's great. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't have been here otherwise.
Coaches need coaches.
That's
and
right.
I think that this is amazing.
That's right.
So then that means authentic is my word.
Yes.
So for me, because authentic is something that
I see where you're going with this.
Round robin, look out, Dan.
Okay. I don't know where he thinks I'm going with this, but so for me, authenticity is certainly something that I really have had a hard time incorporating, not because I don't want to be authentic, but because I was created to be someone that if you're not showing up perfect, if you don't have your shit together, don't let people know that you don't have your shit together. And authenticity for me, like when I'm with my friends, what you see is what you get. If I need to fart, I will. Even though I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. But the reality is that in my life, I dealt with so much shame. And when we are living in that shame, when we are living in that beating ourselves up, judging ourselves, we are then not allowing ourselves to love ourselves. And authenticity to me means, you know what? If you're going to screw up, it's okay. And don't be afraid of loving yourself through the screw up. Don't be afraid of authentically knowing that it's okay to do that.
Absolutely.
And that I know that as I am doing action, adventure, and action is mainly taking action in my health, taking action in my business, and adventure because, oh my God, I've been deprived of a lot of adventure in the last 3 years. Nothing personal, Dan, but just for myself, for COVID, for what I've been building a business. So there's a lot of things that I've had to say no to. And for an Enneagram 7, who is fear of FOMO, it's very challenging. So my authenticity for the year is to, despite the fear of being rejected, because I have failed in sharing that with the world, that I will be okay with sharing that and being open about that.
So, Julie, I want to say something really quick to that because I know we're getting near the end. So the one thing about you I want you to know is you do show up authentically. Yes. And those that are listening to this episode, we're all coaches here. And I'm going to tell you, if you have a coach that tells you they do everything they're teaching you 100% of the time, fire him.
Yeah.
Because coaches are not perfect. And just
Right.
like Julie and I have been saying, all of us been saying tonight, coaches need coaches. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Pearl.
And you are, so to me, I mean, I've known you, I don't know, like 6 years,
6 years,
5
yeah,
years,
yeah.
5 years. So to me, I find you to be the most gracious woman. And when you give advice, it is always authentic.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. So Dan,
So, Daniel, how will you incorporate action, adventure
There we go.
into your life? Even though, and I don't want you to give me some sort of Marvel Universe answer.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, how long have we known each other?
We have known each other for 32 years.
No, 29 years.
32 years.
29 years.
We met in 1990.
1992.
91.
92.
91.
No, we didn't.
Well, I met you December or November of 91.
Okay, I left my college in December of 91.
And I met you shortly thereafter.
You met me in 92.
Okay, sure. Okay, so it's been so
Say
that
it.
makes it
Expensive
31.
dirt.
So
Okay.
So wait a minute. I'm sorry, but I want to make sure I can do math. So if I met you in January of 92, does that
So
not
it's
make it
31
31
years.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
right.
so I was right and you were right.
I was right and you were right.
You saw how we were both right differently, right?
yes, we just did that.
So action adventure is to have more conversations just like we just had.
Wow, what a cop.
You know what? The one thing I can do with Julie and Julie can do with me is have a healthy, fun debate and still hug each other when we're done.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
that's something that's important. And a lot of people have forgotten that over the last 10 years.
Yep.
And, with social media and all that stuff, it's easier to be not nice to a person. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, just like the woods, when you're a hiker, you leave the woods better than you found it. And that's what we should do to each other.
I love that.
So,
Amen.
just
Amen
something.
with that one.
Sorry, I'm on a divergent path here, but what I want to say about action adventure, it kind of goes with, I had a year of yes, back in 2010. And it's
I was
time.
going to say, it didn't happen today.
It's time.
I was like, wait, how
It's
many
time.
yeses are we getting?
It's time to start saying yes again because I said
for you,
no
man.
a lot this year to Julie's chagrin. And action, adventure, action. And you take action on certain parts of my life, like I talked about earlier. In the adventure, I mean, we need to get out and go.
Hey, by the way,
And
living with me is an adventure.
I think we should explore the trails of Connecticut this year.
Ooh.
I think that would be a great adventure.
Julie's like, cheers to that.
Cheers. Let me suck it
And
down
it's
real
a
quick.
great way. It's a great way for you to prepare for the Camino.
It is a great way for me to prepare. And the community. By the way, it looks like Pearl Chiarenza and Seth Santoro might be joining me on the Camino de Santiago this year.
I would love to do that.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Okay, so here is my goal and my call out to you, my friend, the listener. We are 3 weeks in. I want you to look at yourself and celebrate the 3 weeks that you've done so far.
Yay.
Celebrate, the lessons, because if you haven't had January turn out the way that you wanted it to yet, it's all about the lesson. It's all about what you can take into the new year. Ultimately, keep yourself in the path, keep yourself focused, and celebrate every step of the way. So now, Pearl, how do people find you?
Okay, real quick, because I know we're running late because our producer's giving us signs over there, but you can go to
It's
TikTok.
okay. It's okay. I can shorten up
All
the
right,
audio.
go to TikTok, and I want you to find me at Pearl Chiarenza. That's Chiarenza. So just go to TikTok, put Pearl in, and I'll pop out there and come have some fun with me.
Okay. And I'm Annmarie. And you can find me on IG. And I am at Annmarie, ANNMARIE .Etner, ENTNER _life_coach.
And I'm
And
going to
I'm-
tag them here. Oh, sorry. You want to talk to? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Where can we find Dan?
Check them both out. They're very incredible people. You can find me at Casa DeConfidence, but you don't know where that is. But Julie is found at Casa DeConfidence. No,
You can find me.
GoConfidentlyCoaching.com.
If you want to connect with me, I'm Julie DeLuca Collins on all the platforms. And if you are listening to the show, please share it with a friend and make sure that you leave us a review.
And one more thing, check out Conversations with Pearl podcast. Make sure you go see the show. I edit it on a weekly basis, and it's incredible conversations between Pearl and other women. And it is just, you're doing yourself a disservice by not going and checking that out and downloading every episode, because it's some of the best conversations, and Pearl's awesome.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
gonna piggyback and say yes, you are.
Oh, you guys are awesome. See, you come here and get lots of confidence at Casa DeConfidence.
All right.
All right. So
you don't forget that everything that you can do for yourself this week can start with a simple habit. And if you're listening to this, don't forget,
go
confidently
confidently
in the direction of your dreams.